Hi, good morning mga katribu. It's Wednesday once more and welcome to another enlightening episode of Straight Talk, where we delve into the pressing issues that shape our times. I'm Chito Lozada.
And we're live on Daily Tribune's Facebook page and Tribune now on YouTube. I'm Ted Montelibano.
So today we're honored to have with us the Executive Director of Fairplay for All Foundation and the coach of the Payatas Football Club, Mr. Roy Moore, and once again the chairman of the Makati Rotary Club Foundation and member of the Phoenix Board of Directors, Mr. Senen Matoto. Welcome,
Good
guys.
afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Roy.
Pleasure to be
Thank you
here.
for your time. Thank you for passing by the office for this interview. Okay. Today's a rainy day, right?
It is.
Yeah. Okay, so shall we start?
Of course.
Yeah, maybe if you could give us in a nutshell. I mean, what is Payatas? How did you get involved with it and everything?
Yeah, obviously
The
everyone
start of your
knows.
Payatas experience journey.
Obviously everyone knows Payatas for having the largest dump site in the country until 2017 when it was closed. The area still runs basically as in the garbage industry, so the kids will still scavenge in the trucks or the streets or the
Until
junk
now.
shops. Still now.
I see.
Yeah, because well, if you don't solve the root cause of the problem, why someone's poor, they're going to keep finding different ways to earn, and so the child labour is still very much a big issue in the community. Yeah, because the families have to earn. We obviously, when we saw the area, we saw the community. I was much younger at the time and able to try and help and trying to assist, and we moved into the area in 2011.
What year were you when you first encountered Payatas?
So when we first came would be 2007. So I had a gap year before college in England, and I came on a gap year for 3.5 months. Volunteered with it was a children's home. One of the group things they had was a preschool in Payatas, so I visited the area, knew a little bit about the community. My second year of my degree was in Singapore, so I had NUS in Singapore, and the way the summers worked out, I was able to come back again, and then I really enjoyed the community, what we could do, what we could try and build. I always wanted to get involved in development work, and this just seemed like a great opportunity to get involved in everything, like we do now.
How did you learn about it in the first place?
Um,
And how did you, did you just walk in there, a white guy,
yeah, well,
everything?
they had the preschool. I was volunteering with the children's home and the charity at that point.
You
and
just went there and then you signed up?
through the group. So I knew someone who ran the
You were a
charity back
student then.
then. Yeah.
In
So this was
England.
just before.
In England. He was a student in England. Undergrad, no?
Yeah, that's for
Undergrad,
undergrad,
and-
and then came back 2010. Did my masters at UP, which took far too long. And then, yeah, we started the foundation, myself and a girl called Naomi. We brought the foundation together, built everything up. We had a tiny little shack of a drop-in centre. We played football once a week on the basketball court of the barangay. And since then, we've been able to really develop and really grow with the community. Really grow everything from scratch, from the ground up, really listen to everyone. It's not just two white people going in and we're going to do this, this, and this. We were really forced to listen to everyone and build it up from scratch, which in hindsight was really good, so that we could really target the root causes of the problems.
How did you come up with this Fair Play for All Foundation? How did you come up with it?
Fair play comes from the sports term where you want something like the sporting behaviour. You want fair play in the game.
Yes.
And so for us, it was the same idea. We want a level playing field. We want to be able to give kids a chance. So when I go to a place like Payatas, growing up in England, I grew up relatively working class, but you have opportunities if you work hard, if you study hard, and I should have studied a bit harder, but if you do well enough, then you've got the opportunities. You can go to college, you can go to different places. So I was lucky enough to get those opportunities. You go somewhere like Payatas, and no one has a chance. You're working 16-hour days for 100 pesos, scavenging in the community. You're waking up at midnight and working till the early morning, and you're expected to go to school after that. It's like, how can a 12-year-old kid do anything with that? So they really have no chance. So for us, Fair Play was about how can we create the opportunities? How can we change these root problems so that they can make better choices?
How did you, when you put it up, is it registered?
Yeah.
SEC registered and all that?
Yeah, so SEC, BIR, we're renewing our DSWD, everything's in place here.
And then, so you developed programs for it, everything?
Yeah, so what we're mostly
How
known
did you
for...
structure it?
What we're mostly known for is the sports and the football, because when people go there, it's a great driver. It's a nice visual in that way. And with kids on the national youth team or the national futsal team, that's a great story. But
Futsal.
yeah, futsal and football now. So one of our girls was just part of the recent local Filipinas camp, which is nice. So she's having a good time there. Yeah, so we're mostly known on the sports. That's what gets, I guess, the media attention. But for us, that's the starting point, because, I mean, it's great that you can get kids into varsity. You can create this safe space where you can get to know the families, because the community don't trust anyone who comes in.
Yeah, I was going to ask you,
Right.
how did they first take to you, you know?
Yeah, so they just see this random white guy and random white girl come in, and what they used to is maybe politicians or wealthy groups might come in for the day. Everyone promises to come back, but no one does.
No one does.
So there's so many broken promises that happen with that. Oh, we'll come here, we'll do this, we'll do that, and no one comes back. So what they learn is, well, whenever someone comes and gives things out, we need to get there as soon as we can, and so there's a rush to get everything. One of the good things about with the sports was it enabled us to go there every week at first, for the first kind of 6 months, half a year. We were just going there, getting the relationships, building up that trust. They'll be back next week, they'll be back next week. Then when we moved into the drop-in centre, so this was the next step of being
It's a drop-in centre.
where the kids could come by, we can do some remedial lessons, some academics, some social work, some emotional work, and then really figure out what's the real problem here with the families, how can we best support, and then we can tailor what we do from there. So then that's where we moved into the tiny little shack in 2011, and that's where it was like, okay, they're staying. So for example, you ask about how the community take to you. In the first week, we came back from dinner, and someone had sawn off the bottom half of the door. So we get back
what?
from
A
dinner,
what?
and the door was sawn in half.
Sawn?
Yeah, they'd
Sawn
sawn
in
in half. So nawala po yung
Of your house?
kalating-
Of your house?
Yeah,
Or the-
at the shack that we were living. Yeah.
Why?
So they broke in. They stole a rice cooker and a stove. At that point, so that's not too bad. 6 months later, we think it was the same people who broke in. They smashed through a window, go inside.
And what did they steal this time?
They did
This
it
time,
again.
I was doing my research for university, so my laptop was on the table,
Wow.
and they grabbed the nearest bag they could, which had my passport in it, because I was renewing my
Oh,
student
wow.
visa at the time. So that's a nightmare. By that time, we're more accepted by the community. People start to look out for you more. They start to trust you more. So in 24 hours, I had my passport back.
Oh, you did.
Yeah. Actually, the mother tried to sell it back to us. And so, oh, we found it in the river. Sure you did. So in 24 hours, I had my passport back, and in 48 hours, I had my laptop back. It had been
Wow,
sold
even a
on to one of
laptop,
it'd been sold on to one of the malls. So I lost the research, I lost the data. It had been wiped and everything.
Oh,
But to get the actual hardware back, I mean, that's a big win. But what I mean from that is, like, they start to look out for you, because at that point, one of the local mothers, she was hired by us, and she was like, she asked one of the security guards, the water supply is across from the road, La Mesa Dam is across from us, which is a whole other story about why the city's water supply is next to the dump site. That's a whole other story. But she asked the guy, oh, did you see anyone there looking suspicious? Well, there was this guy with longer hair, and then something as innocuous as that. It's probably this guy. So it was that guy, and we managed to track everything down and work it.
Probably.
And people start to look out for you more once you earn it. You really have to earn that trust. You really have to earn that care and become part of the community.
How long did you earn that?
Well, that was within the first year. So that was the
first year,
first.
okay.
It took about a year before it got to that point, where it was like, okay, maybe there's something here. But yeah, everyone's going to be wary for the first even 5 years. You've got to say, for most of them. For the kids, it's a lot easier, but for the parents, it's going to take a lot more time and effort to really see and believe in what you're trying to do. Once you get those first graduates, once you get those first kids who get into varsity scholarships, or you're supporting in college, or you help get them really good internships or solid jobs, that's when we're like, okay, we get it now, and then they're on board.
When you first started working, were you alone, or did you have a group?
So myself and
A
Naomi,
group of Europeans also?
myself and Naomi, she's also British. So the two of us founded the charity, and we did most things. And then we started to hire local staff. We started to hire. Then we started to build up people within the community and mentor them to be able to do everything. So now we're getting to the point where the kids we supported in 2011, the first batch, they're graduating from college, because they were in grade school at the time.
Okay.
They're graduating from college, and they're starting to take over the programs. So this is how we met Bing from
Yes.
Rotary, and this is how we met the Rotary group, and how Ronaldin is how we met them, and
Payatas.
she's graduated from UST with honors from the community, and now she's running our sports program. So to be able to create the next leader, create the next person who's going to do everything, that's great, and that's how we met you guys.
Quick question. How did you initially fund those initial projects? Because obviously starting up, you need some money. So who provided it?
Capital.
So there was a mix of some fundraising within the Philippines and then some fundraising from Naomi had built up a funding pool within England. So they provided a small amount each year to be able to do what at the time was a very small operation. As we got bigger and bigger, we were able to get our own space, and that's where we need to talk about bigger grants and bigger CSR and other sponsorship and grow things from there.
Yeah, and when you say some funds coming from the Philippines, these are what, individuals who knew you personally, or what were they, foundations or?
A good mix. So there'd be people who would sponsor a child individually, so they'll do a one-to-one sponsorship. Or there are people who hear about, hey, we want to build our own sports courts and be able to do a lot more of this. We want to build our own youth centre, and they'll get behind that project. And then there are some companies who are looking to do some CSR work and get involved and see that what they can do and how they can help.
When you were the one marketing them, you were the one.
Essentially, yeah. I'd be able to go to them, explain, hey, this is what we're looking to do, this is how it's a win-win, and this is how your group can get involved and what it means for your company.
Have you approached the foundation, Association of Foundations, AF?
Association of Foundations.
Association of PBSP. I don't know if PBSP.
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 Yes.
Well, you know,
Philippine Business for Social
Philippine
Progress.
Business for Social Progress is a foundation where all the top companies, in the Philippines, they are pledged to contribute, I think 3% of their a certain portion of their gross income.
That's a network we've not been able to explore.
Oh,
but
you
it's
should-
good to hear
Maybe you
about
should
that.
tap that.
You should top that.
And
And
why
Assisi Foundation, the Howard D just died. Are you familiar with Howard D?
Oh yeah, Howard D.
Howard D just passed away. But I'll find out from Howard D also, from the Assisi Foundation. Yeah.
Are there any particular large conglomerates here in the Philippines who have been supportive of your efforts?
Yeah, a few have been very supportive. We had a great relationship with Nivea, so Beiersdorf, the parent company, and Nivea Philippines for
Nivea.
it was like 5 years. Yeah,
Nivea.
so they do like
the one
deodorant.
deodorants, cosmetic.
So they were great. They really bought into what we were doing and the social work of it as well.
Yeah.
So some companies can be far more interested in the marketing and getting the videos and so on. They were great. They understood what we were trying to do, and for 5 years we had a really good relationship. Sometimes there was a change in their CEO back in Europe, and now there's different priorities they have. So I think every Nivea in every country had to find a different partner, unfortunately. But they were great for 5 years. They were a really good partner. People like the DTSI group helped us buy up the land to be able to get the sports centre. Straight Arrow.
ICTSI?
DTSI.
Oh, DTSI.
Straight Arrow. Two of our board members used to be, they were the owners of the company. They were great because they helped us with the marketing and how to run the organization. So they have some great management tools called EOS that they helped us understand and learn. But also they provided some funding towards buying the land and be able to build everything. Because land's always going to be the most expensive thing. But once you've got your own place, now you're good to go. Now you can do everything that you want to do, and you build up the programs.
Wait, okay. Just can you give us an idea about how is Payatas? I mean, how big is it and all that?
Yeah, we were just researching before. I forgot how many hectares, but 703 hectares.
703 hectares.
It's a very, very big
It's
community.
in Quezon City.
In Quezon City, just right at the edge, just as you're going towards Montalban. So officially, the barangay has 130,000 people.
130,000.
Unofficially,
130.
the research shows it's closer to 500,000, so a quarter to 500,000. There's a lot of people who don't get counted, whether it's birth certificates that they lack, or other IDs, or they're just not counted in other ways. There are areas that the census doesn't want to go to, and I guess this is where, like, with the topical kind of things about 64 pesos a day for food and what we can, what's really going on, what's really counted here. There's a lot of people who aren't counted. So the official, if you had to guess, what's the official poverty rate in Manila? What would you say it is?
I don't know. The official what?
Official
15.
poverty rate.
Poverty
Official.
rate?
Yeah.
I
The,
think it's still double digit,
throughout
right? I
the
mean, it's,
country, it's about 15,
Yeah.
15%.
Throughout the country.
50% or what?
1.5.
Yeah.
15%.
Yeah. So the official poverty rate for Metro Manila is about 2.9%. That's the NSCB statistics. It's absolutely insane. You look at it, 2.9%.
I don't think so.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And this is part of the reason why places like Payatas, you have hundreds of thousands of people who aren't counted.
And this break is brought to you by Angkas, Beat the Traffic, Bayad Center, Hashtag Bigger Better Younger Bayad, and you can buy it all. Meralco, ang liwanag ng bukas. SM, we've got it all for you. Smart, live more today. Union Bank, it starts with you.
Tune in to Daily Tribune's show aimed at addressing the needs and problems of our OFWs from different corners of the globe. Hear about their plights and success stories every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 p.m. only on Daily Tribune's Facebook page and Tribune Now on YouTube. Straight Talk dives deep into pressing issues of leadership, politics, business, and more. Engage in insightful conversations with industry shakers, government leaders, and trailblazers every Wednesday at 10 a.m. only here on Daily Tribune's Facebook page and Tribune Now in YouTube.
Yeah,
so
we're back.
We're back, right.
And,
Mr. Matoro, you're asking him some questions?
yeah, I was
about the
basically inquiring about the kind of support
support.
that they had in the past,
Yeah.
and then trying to see how going forward. Because I think what's important now is how do you go forward, right? And so, how do you go forward, and perhaps what kind of, I guess, through the help of it's a network thing, it's a community thing. You know? Through your own community, through your own network, and through also the Rotary Club's network, maybe there could be some appropriate introductions made. So then it's not just a cold call, because he has tried cold calls and apparently they didn't work. No, but perhaps with a more concerted, call it publicized or promoted effort.
Yeah.
You know, maybe doing some pictorials there or some videos. I mean, I'm just sort of here to trying to see how we could sort of help them move on.
Have you
I mean,
tapped some of the taipans?
Sorry?
Have you tapped
Taipans.
some of the taipans?
The business.
San Miguel groups, I mean, the Gokong Way, stuff like that.
Razon, ICTSI, I think Razon is
We've
he's
messaged-
also into sports.
So
He's a sport.
We've
Headed
messaged
to sports.
their groups quite a few times, especially trying to look at like Team Philippines for the Street Child World Cup. So every 4 years, we're able to send Team Philippines to. It's a World Cup for kids from a background like from Payatas, from Tondo, from Gawit Kalinga, from the groups that we try to work together with. You always have to know someone to get into those kind of groups. It's the same with business, right? It's you have to know someone to be able to get a good meeting, to be able to look at that. But absolutely, we're looking for really good win-wins. What are the win-wins here? What are the things that it's not just they can come to us and give us money. How can we contribute as well to what they're doing? So the next step for us would be we have our support for academics and social and emotional growth, our holistic mentoring for the kids. What we'd love to, the next step would be to be able to provide that formal education so that you don't have to go to a school where there's 80 other kids in a class, where you've got hundreds and hundreds of kids who have to go. The schedules are so weird right now with Monday, Wednesday, Friday in class, and then they're out of school. Some kids are 6 to 12 in the morning, some are 12 to 6, and then they get assignments at 6 o'clock at night ready for the next day, just message. It's an absolute mess. I don't know if you've seen the PISA report that in the Philippines, on average, students are 6 grades behind. So we don't want to keep sending kids to these kind of almost dropout factories, really, because half of kids nationwide, if in grade 1, won't finish high school. It's an incredibly high number, and it doesn't work for most kids. So we need to provide these alternatives that work in a community like Payatas, where you've got different things going on. That's where our next step is, being able to complete that. So with the ALS program, the Alternative Learning System, and with different support, we're able to provide this setup. And then we've got everything now. We can really focus on the social work of the kids and the needs of the kids. The sports angle helps with the physical and mental health. And then the whole package is there for that. That's the next step. And once that's all complete and more sustainable, then we can start replicating it. So we can then look at expanding within Payatas perhaps and replicating, or even further afield within the Philippines once the funding obviously gets sustainable.
Because, you know, corporations now are all into sustainability.
Yeah.
And obviously providing support to activities such as what you have would be a normal, natural thing for them to get into. So it's a question of trying to be able to put together some sort of a package or a structure that they could then choose from. Now, it's okay, you've got this, say, learning, or you've got cooking, or you've got saw making, or you've got a little bit stuff like that, or sports.
Yep.
So that then, the companies can then pick and choose and then maybe get their own employees sort of involved, their own children sort of mixing it up with your boys, no? Stuff like that, I think that could then appeal them. It's a question of putting together a promotional package of sorts. It's a marketing thing,
Absolutely.
And I guess that's where Daily Tribune sort of comes in.
Yeah, we can maybe help in those things.
Right now, Roy, how many children are you or individuals are you working with?
So throughout the week, roughly 250 kids will play sports with
250.
us throughout the week. And then this school year, we should have 70 Fairplay scholars.
70.
Fairplay scholars. So they're the
75
kids who will receive the really intense mentoring and the support. These are kids who go to local elementary and high schools, senior high schools, colleges.
Funded.
Through us. And so some people will sponsor through that. And then we get to student loans and so on once we get to higher education. 70 Fairplay scholars. And then we're looking to expand that up to 100 would be our limit for where we are, the facilities and what we do, because relationship is everything.
Correct, yes.
So when you use scholars, these are scholarships given for their studies or scholarships, beyond the Fair Play programs. So when they go to college, that's really what you're talking about.
Correct. So these are kids who are UP, FEU, PUP. These are kids that we've supported for, some of them for 10, 15 years almost. So since they were young little babies and now they're grown up and they're in college, and that's been great to see.
You've seen them from babies to college?
Yeah.
How old are you? You're the godfather.
And they are all residents of Payatas.
Yeah, correct. So
Is
all
that a
of our
prerequisite?
beneficiaries-
You have to be a resident of Payatas in order to get into your whatever you're doing.
Yeah, generally
Foundation.
speaking, absolutely. We do work with other organizations around Team Philippines for the Street Child World Cup, and we work together for different projects. So we host our own youth leagues. So now our sports team will manage the youth leagues. Other groups will involve for that, but for our scholarships, the focus is Payatas, yes, because
Payatas.
we're a small group, we can only focus on so much. And if you try to focus too wide, it gets too...
Unwieldy.
yeah, exactly.
Correct. And the government, do you get any assistance from the government?
So recently, we've got a grant through the PSC, thanks to Senator Pia Cayetano's office. So that's been a great starting point.
PSC?
Philippine Sports Commission.
Philippine Sports Commission.
Yeah, so they've helped us with a grant towards some of the sports aspects. That's really been the first time because, I guess honestly speaking, as a foreigner, it can be dangerous to enter the world of politics here. It can be very difficult to sort of navigate that, and so we generally stay away from that side of things.
Politics.
Yeah. The local politics has been difficult at times, but it's been, it's often trying to develop our own work there, so we know that when we do things, we know it's run well and it's working as it should towards the goals.
But do you work well with the local politics there? With local politics there in that area?
Not so much.
But
No.
do they leave you alone?
Yeah, basically. I mean, we're a very small group, and we're not challenging the status quo, so to speak, as much as there. We're a small group, and our reach is limited.
Yeah.
But it's been a great experience within that to understand and learn the different stakeholders, the different groups that are involved. I mean, obviously, my background is within politics, so it's a fascinating country to sort of learn the differences, right, of what happens here. But yeah, it's...
Do you have an appreciation already of Philippine politics?
There are some things which are really great, but absolutely, it gets difficult with certain things that happen that can really just change things overnight, right? Within an area like Payatas. Payatas becomes the area where everything is thrown at the end of that. It can be very difficult. It's not just a dump site for the garbage, but it's been used for 50 years as a dump site for everything. I mean, that's where everyone relocated all of the squatters from different places. They'll put them in Payatas.
Until now,
then.
is that happening until now? Does that happen until now?
It still happens. So we used to work with a group of families very close to us, and then they were relocated to Montalban, which is where the new dump site is. So they were relocated there, and so that the barangay could build a parking lot. And so you've just disrupted 30, 40 families to be able to do that. So it kind of shows you that, I guess, the priorities that are involved in that. And so, yeah, there's so much disruption that can happen from that. And there are these things that can be very difficult. I mean, the whole area of Payatas, there are almost no land titles in the area. So it's very, very insecure, and you can almost be evicted or thrown out at any point. And again, since Payatas was founded in the 1970s, that's been true in every administration since. This is the history and, I guess, the politics that we're talking about there. In any community like this, you'll find with poverty, someone makes money from that or someone saves money from that. So that's where we're coming from there. And we need to be able to change these deep root causes to be able to have the impact that we're looking for.
Hold on. Do you have a workforce, like you have teachers and all that? And
Yeah, absolutely. So
are they paid by your foundation as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want people to do good work, especially to keep it sustainable, you have to pay people. And so it can be, you can't run an organization like ours just with volunteers. But yeah, we have a really good team. They're really learning, and we're there. We're not the biggest charity in the world, so, you know, we don't pay the best salaries in the world. But everyone is there because they want to be there. They want to make a difference. They want to learn. They want to grow on a personal level as well. So we have our tutors, a shout out to our cafe nanas. We hire 5 local mothers who run our cafe as a social business. A shout out to our youth centre staff, Saripa and Naosheng, who are helping to mentor the kids with their academics and social development. And then our coaches, so Ronaldin handles a group of our younger players who are learning to coach within the community as well. So instead of scavenging in the area and earning 50, 100 pesos a day, they can coach with us and earn that within one session. So it's such a win-win for everyone involved. They can focus on their schooling and their education and get a much better way of earning money that really focuses on that. And we can help mentor them so they can step up rather than they're stuck in that
Just
situation.
a query.
Yeah, please.
You know, because I did some research, obviously, about Payatas as I wrote my previous article. And the impression that I got was that obviously the government closed it down, so it's no longer a dump site.
Correct.
And yet, I'm getting the impression now that in fact there's still very much an area where, you know, trash, garbage.
Yeah.
So it's still happening. So in other words, how different then is the situation now from when it was before?
For the people on the ground, I'd say there's not much difference at all,
Really?
to be honest, because
Pareho pa din.
yeah, I mean the garbage from officially Quezon City would dump the garbage in Payatas for the last, I think, almost 10 years. It was just Quezon City. Before then, it was the whole of Metro Manila. So that's why it grew up so quickly and so rapidly. When it closed in 2017, essentially what you have is you've got a community who are used to scavenging. You've got a community who understand what's valuable and what isn't. And essentially they're doing the city's job for it. They're stopping 15 to 20% of trash reaching the dump site. So the garbage trucks would stop along the way on the streets, people would scavenge from them. And this is where you get the terms like jumper boys, who would, very young boys, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, would climb up the garbage trucks, climb inside with a rice sack, fill it up and sell it at a junk shop. And so you add up all of this and they will stop about 15 or 20% of trash reaching the dump site itself. Then you'd have other garbage being recycled from there. So they save the city government hundreds of millions of pesos every year by doing this. They're essentially doing the city government's job for it in part of the areas. What you have from that is this community who understand what's valuable, what isn't, and that's what they are used to, that's what they understand, that's their skill. So while we might call it unskilled labor, it's a skill that you'd have to learn. I mean, I couldn't do that. It'd take me 2, 3, 4, 5 years of training to be able to understand and do it properly. So they, the garbage within the community, there's still some areas where people dump unofficially, and so there's still a lot of different sort of scavenging and everything that happens. The new dump site is now 20 minutes away, so through Montalban. So everything still goes through Payatas to reach there. But what we have is, if we don't have a sustainable garbage system, if we don't have a sustainable one, a win-win solution which brings the community in and does this properly, then we end up creating the new Payatas. So Payatas was essentially the new Smoky Mountain. When Smoky Mountain closed in the 90s, the trash was all relocated here, right?
Relocated.
Then, when Payatas is closed, it's starting to become in Montalban now. So that area is becoming the new Payatas because we don't have a sustainable way of dealing with that just right now.
Oh my goodness.
So you still have, you know, because when I went there,
Yeah.
the impression I had before, judging from the pictures that I saw, you would have literally these hills of garbage, right?
Yeah.
Which in fact caused the landslide, correct?
Correct.
Now,
Yeah,
with the move of government, presumably the areas have been turned into green. I saw grass, I saw some trees, but I did see garbage, and that's why I was curious.
Yeah.
So you're saying now that there's a continuous dumping of garbage there, but this time instead of coming from the whole of Metro Manila, it's coming from Quezon City.
I forget which year it was, but the Payatas was only for Quezon City.
And now,
Around 10 years. Still, now it doesn't dump in Quezon. Now no one officially dumps in Payatas dump site.
Okay.
So the area is closed, it's fenced off. But like you say, there's a thin layer of greenery over the old dump site.
Yeah.
You can still see the trash mountain that's
Okay.
underneath that. So you can still see everything, the garbage that's there, and that means the leachate and the toxic stuff runs all into the rivers and the water system. So this is what we mean by trying to create a win-win solution here. Solving something like this in Payatas isn't just about helping the community of Payatas. Our drinking water supply demands this. Our own health and environment demands this. Something like climate change is becoming more and more of an issue because of areas like this. It all interacts with all the communities interact with each other, and so helping an area like Payatas doesn't just help them, it helps all of us in the long run.
so I'm just trying to follow through on the query.
Yep.
So in other words, when you say dump trucks still go there to the site, are you referring to the dump site as the Montalban one, the trucks go there, and then kids from whichever community sort of jump, which was Ronaldin was doing, right? So they bring it back to Payatas and then have it processed there or something? Or I'm trying to understand now.
So the garbage trucks will come through and they'll go to Montalban.
Okay.
And they'll go through Payatas to do that, and so they'll stop along Payatas.
Okay.
And so as they stop along Payatas, they'll stop at the junk shops, they'll stop at the bigger
Okay.
sort of smaller dumping unofficial areas, and that's where people will gather the trash
Okay.
from the garbage truck. So this is why I say about 15 to 20% of trash will be scavenged before it gets to the
Okay.
dump site. Now everything is officially dumped within Montalban on
Okay,
that
okay,
new dump
okay.
site in San Isidro.
Okay, so in terms of risks, similar to what had
Yeah.
happened before in terms of the garbage landslide,
Yeah.
would that still be a possible risk that you think is present there?
That specific risk, probably not, because the
Okay.
reason that happened in 2000 was the dump site was at like a 70-degree angle. These were
Yeah,
things
okay.
which weren't legal at the time. You're not supposed to have a dump site have like such a steep angle.
Yeah, okay.
And some regulations came in after that. So that specific danger isn't so much of a risk anymore. What is still a risk is you have kids who are climbing up trucks, and at any point, well, if you fall off that, that's like, what, how many meters high?
Yeah.
You fall off that, you're in trouble. The toxic elements of the
yeah, the
communities,
fumes.
the fumes, the leachates, the lead, all of the toxins
Yeah.
within that, that's still an environmental risk. So while you might not have a trash slide, you have so many more problems within the community because of that, to the point
okay.
where within some of the research that we did, we estimate that with also what happens environmentally and behaviorally, and some of the trauma that the community experiences through poverty, there are about severe and moderate trauma is about 3 to 5 times more common. What happens with that is that with your life expectancy, it will be decreased by almost 20 years.
Wow,
So your life expectancy for, let's say, a third of the community will be 20 years less than the average in the Philippines, because of all these things factored together and added up together. So there might not be the initial shock of a trash slide which officially killed 200 people, more likely closer to 1,000. A lot of people weren't recovered. So you might not have that shock, but you have the daily things that happen throughout, and the reduction of life expectancy through
Okay.
everything.
So for example, water, you mentioned water
Yeah.
earlier. How do you source water? Is there water there? Is Manila Water, Maynila part of that franchise? Or how exactly water sourced there?
When Payatas was first founded back in the 70s, there was no water, there was no electricity, there was nothing there. So that's the big question of like, well, why would you relocate tens of thousands
Yeah.
of families there, right? It's to an area like this. So that wasn't the best city planning. Since then, it is now connected, so there's running water. It's
Okay.
not drinking water, so we still have to.
It isn't drinking water.
So today I went to a little shop across from us. They one of those water stations. So they'll make the blue gallon jugs. So I'll go across there and get my water for,
It's clean.
for the
Is that
day.
clean?
Yeah, so that's the new sort of local businesses where they're making the I forget the term for it, but they're cleaning the water and
Okay.
they'll treat it and they'll do everything there. So you have to buy your water from there.
Yeah.
I guess the big point from that is that what happens is the poor pay more for everything.
Yeah.
So you take something like water. Back in England, I'll drink from the tap. It costs us nothing.
Yeah.
Here, it costs a family maybe 10% of their household income. It's very difficult to build up.
Buy mineral water.
Yeah. Well,
So we're wrapping up.
I haven't drunk from the tap.
Yeah.
Maybe like in decades. You? Is water in Manila?
You know, I was just
Is water in
chatting.
Makati clean?
I was just chatting with the water expert person. Actually, supposedly water coming from water source, Manila water. Actually, it's okay. What happens is that when it goes into your household, it goes through the pipes, which
Through
are
the
old.
pipes,
That's when it gets contaminated. So if you want to drink tap water, you have to have those filters that sort of clean it. That's how it's done.
So it helps. The filters.
Yeah.
You attach it to the.
What kind of filter should I buy?
For example, we got involved in a project in Rotary wherein we supported the Management Association of the Philippines, where we actually donate money. And then they demonstrated that there was this jug of water, mud-looking, and then there's like some contraption. You open it, comes out clean. And then to prove it, they made me drink it.
You made you drink it? You drank it?
I drank. I'm still around. I mean,
Did it taste like anything?
no, I mean, it felt.
Just water.
Oh, so,
It quenched your thirst.
I had no choice, but you know, it was during a club meeting.
But, okay.
Okay.
What can we buy? What can we buy the device?
Well, you know, there are companies that provide that. Okay, in our case, it was meant to support communities that would have typhoons or ravage stuff like that. So
I would like to buy. I would like to.
The
But it can be
technology is
done.
improving.
anyway,
Yeah.
So
Parting words. Goodness.
I mean, can you
Yeah.
give us your?
maybe an appeal.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, so obviously a huge thank you to everyone who's helped us get this far, from a tiny little shack now to our own youth centre and sports centre and everything that we have. So thank you to everyone at Fairplay, our entire team. I get to do these interviews and talk to you guys, but they work hard every day to make sure that the kids get the support that they need.
75. How many kids?
Yeah, so
100? 75?
250 with the sports, 70
250
Fairplay
with-
scholars currently
So
for
300
the
plus.
coming school year. And then, if anyone wants to get involved, please see us Fairplay for All Foundation on Facebook, on YouTube, or our website, fairplayforall.org. There's so many win-wins we can do. There's so many things that can happen, so many things that benefit each other. Within that, being able to tell our stories and be able to show that we can go to a community like this. The kids who haven't kicked a ball can play for the national team. There are kids who dropped out of school who can graduate from the top colleges with honours. When we give the right support, this is what can happen. And
Fantastic.
so, obviously, we invite everyone to join in this journey, to join in this story.
Great,
Yeah,
Roy.
sure.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
for your time and for sharing your story with us. Very inspiring indeed.
Yeah.
I think
it's
the
fantastic
president
story.
should give you a congress.
I was going to say that this guy deserves a medal.
medal.
Our whole team,
So,
our staff work really hard.
thank you
Yeah.
for
And
joining
you've never
us.
flagged. Your enthusiasm and everything. It's never, never flagged down.
Impress us with some Tagalog words. Right.
Sige
Come
po.
on.
And maybe you can
Sige po,
repeat
ano
the
po ang
appeal.
gusto natin sabihin? Maraming salamat po ulit sa lahat ng sinuporta sa amin.
Wow.
Sa Payatas, yung mga sponsors natin, yung mga at especially sa mga kids natin at saka mga coaches natin, yung mga staff natin. Maraming salamat po para sa support natin.
You speak better Tagalog than Teddy.
Well, the kids just said I failed grade 5, so I'm up to grade 4, apparently in Tagalog.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful episode of Straight Talk. We hope you found today's discussion as enlightening as we did.
Okay.
A big thank you for our guest, Mr. Roy Moore, Executive Director of Fairplay for All Foundation and the coach of the Payatas Football Club, for sharing his valuable insights with us. So with
to Bing,
Mr. Bing Matoto, of course, thank you for coming and gracing the show once again.
Remember, if you have any questions or would like to continue the conversation, you can reach out to us through our social media channels or visit our website for more updates. Stay tuned for more thought-provoking content and interviews right here on Straight Talk. This is Teddy Montelibano.
And this is Chito Lozada. Until next time,
Wishing you
a great day ahead. Stay informed and stay engaged. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
This public service announcement is brought to you by Meralco.
Isang magandang araw mga kaliwanag at ganun na din sa mga katribu. Nakakalungkot nga ang nangyari sa marami nating kababayan dahil sa pananalasa ng Super Typhoon Karina. Daming pamilya, lalo na sa aming mga customer sa Meralco, ang naapektuhan at nalubog sa baha. Kaya kami sa Meralco naging puspusan ang pagtugon namin sa mga pangangailangan ng aming mga customer nitong mga panahon na ito. Hindi po tumigil ang ating mga crew kahit malakas ang ulan o mataas ang baha sa pagbibigay serbisyo. Mula sa pansamantalang pag-alis ng supply ng kuryente para maiwasan ang aksidente, hanggang sa muling pagbabalik ng supply sa oras na ligtas na ang sitwasyon. Napakahalaga po ng public safety para sa amin dito sa Meralco. Kaya bago po namin ibalik yung aming serbisyo sa mga lugar na lumubog sa baha, o gayon din sa mga nasirang electric facilities, sinisiguro namin na ligtas muna ito para sa lahat ng customers ng Meralco. Ini-inspect po muna ng aming mga tauhan ang mga lugar na nawala ng serbisyo ng kuryente para malaman kung ano ang naging sira o problema sa aming pasilidad. Kapag nalaman na namin ang naging problema, uumpisahan ng kumpunihin ang mga pangunahing linya ng kuryente. Sa oras na ito, darating ang aming mga equipment at mga kagamitan na gagamitin sa pagsasaayos. Una po naming inaayos ang aming mga linya ng kuryente na nasa main sections. Kapag okay na ang main power lines, ay susunod natin agad ayusin ang mga linya sa mga kali at mga kabahayan. Ito po yung dahilan kung bakit maraming mga bahay ang hindi agad na ibabalik ang serbisyo ng kuryente noong kasagsagan ng bagyo. Dahil maaaring wala ng baha sa kanilang kalye pero sa kalapit na mga lugar, lalo na yung sa major sections, ay hindi pa ligtas na ibalik ang supply. Ngayon, fully restored na halos ang serbisyo ng kuryente sa lahat ng apektado at salamat sa magigitin nating mga line crew na 24/7 walang tigil na magtrabaho sa kabila ng bagyo at baha. Walang tigil sa restoration efforts doon sa mga lugar na apektado. Saludo kami sa inyong lahat. Bukod din sa pagre-restore at pagsasaayos ng linya ng kuryente, tumulong din po kami ang aming employee volunteers sa Meralco Rescue sa disaster response, particular sa mga pagsaklolo sa mga na-stranded dahil sa baha. Agaran din nagbahagi ng libu-libong relief packs ang One Meralco Foundation para sa mga pamilyang pinakaapektado ng bagyo sa iba't ibang bahagi ng aming franchise area. Nakabantay pa rin po kami anumang oras upang agad rumesponde sakali man magkaroon muli ng service interruptions o anumang emergency situations. Layo namin na ayusin ang aming pasilidad na naapektuhan ng bagyo sa lalong madaling panahon. Maaring mag-message ang aming mga customers sa aming mga social media channels kung sakaling may iba pang concerns. Ako po muli ang inyong lingkod, Manong Joe, hanggang sa susunod na episode natin.